On February 11, 2020, Philippine President Duterte made a decision to put an end to a long-standing agreement the country had with the US. This puts the military alliance between the US and the Philippines in question, possibly ending a pact that was seen as necessary to subdue China's aggressiveness in the South China Sea. However, many people are not pleased with this decision, especially in a country where American sentiment has mostly been positive. What does this mean for the Philippines? And what made President Duterte terminate it? This is Speak Up, bringing you all the information about issues from around the world straight from major foreign news sites. The news will be made simpler and more interesting, maintaining the views of the news sites we will be sourcing from. Let's know more details about the ending of a defense pact the Philippines had with the US. After some time of delivering threats about ending it, President Duterte officially terminated the Visiting Forces Agreement or VFA, which makes the military presence of US troops for bilateral exercises in the Philippines legal. The president's threats were said to have stemmed, if not inflamed, after his former police chief turned senator found out that his US visa got cancelled. On the other hand, US President Trump's response to the termination was less enthusiastic, as he said it will save the US a lot of money. However, officials and analysts in the country and in the US have expressed their concern over the ending of the agreement, as it would fuel China's aggressive position in the South China Sea, according to an article in Foreign Policy. It was said by the US Defense Secretary that the termination of the defense agreement was a wrong move, since it moves away from American goals to keep Beijing's regional expansionism in check. The opinion of senior military officers in the country is the same, saying it is disadvantageous, since it is known that the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, have been working with the US military for many years. President Duterte's move to terminate the VFA is seen as a part of his pivot towards non-traditional allies like China and Russia, which is in the middle of a discussion of a joint military technical cooperation with the Philippines, according to a diplomat. But the president's decision to shift towards Beijing has constantly received criticism in the country, especially with the way he has made decisions as the novel coronavirus started spreading, the arising problems with POGOs, and China's increasing and imposing presence in the disputed South China Sea. Of all departments, the Philippine military is the most suspicious of this new ally and is still more trustful of its long-established relationship with the US. The concern is not only on China's motives of expansionism, though. An assistant professor of international security studies said that China could consider the move a welcome development. But there are other things that will also be affected by the termination of the VFA. For one, it will have an effect on the counter-terrorism cooperation between the US and the Philippines. That means no more access to important intelligence and reconnaissance information about extremists from them. Another, the support, which included training of Philippine officials, military assistance, and weaponry, coming from the US when it comes to counterinsurgency operations against the Communist Army in the country, will also end. President Duterte has constantly gone into tirades about the Philippine-US ties. He has shown that he has an unfavorable opinion of the US. His opinion of the country has soured further when, despite President Trump's support to his brutal drug war, the US Senate passed a resolution in January 2020 seeking Magnitsky Act sanctions against Philippine officials who were involved in human rights violations, canceling the US visa of a former Philippine chief of police. This likely triggered the president's decision to terminate the VFA without consulting his top defense and foreign officials, as mentioned in the same foreign policy article. According to his spokesperson, the president might also end the remaining defense pacts the Philippines has with the US. The problem is, many Filipinos who have already established trust towards the US are not happy about the president's decision. But it was said that there are also a number of reasons the termination of the VFA can work to the country's advantage. The the unjust treatment the Philippines receives from the US will be addressed. US servicemen convicted of a crime in the country will no longer be tolerated. The Philippine military's dependence on US assistance will also end, and that could be a push for the Philippines to assert its sovereignty. However, it is also the fear of many that losing the US's protection might give China an open invitation to press its claims over the disputed waters further. It still remains unclear what makes China a better ally than the US. For now, the country's sovereignty will stay threatened even though the United States is out of the picture, because just lurking in the background is another country that might want to take over. This is Speak Up. Thank you for watching.